Good afternoon everybody, thanks very much for having me along. My name is Gerry Grant from Converged Communication Solutions. I'm the Chief Security Officer there, and today I'm going to have a little chat to you about lifting the lid on cyber security. Just before I start, actually, could I just get everybody just stand up for me just for a second? That's brilliant. And can you just slowly just put your hands together? That's it, and just keep going, just a bit faster, keep going, that's brilliant. Thanks very much, and take a little selfie. There we go, and thanks very much. You can sit down. I can't wait to get home this evening and tell my wife that I got a standing ovation. I've got a picture to prove it as well. Thanks very much. Who am I? Like I said, Gerry Grant. I am a graduate of Aberdeen University, where I studied the ethical hacking degree. That's a real degree. It was set up way back in 2006, and the whole purpose of it was it takes a thief to catch a thief. And it was all about teaching us what the bad guys do so that we can come along and we can help protect people like you. And I work with Converged, trying to help businesses understand what they need to do to make themselves just a little bit more secure. Essentially, what is it that makes a hacker? What makes somebody a hacker and somebody not a hacker? And the big thing is curiosity. It's all about trying to find out how things work. Can we change that? What happens if we put some unexpected input into a form on a website? So if I get a form on a website and it asks me for an address, what happens if I put in a phone number? Or if it's asking me for a phone number and it's obviously expecting digits, what happens if I put some text in there? What happens if I type some commands in there? Can I get an error message that gives me some information about how that system actually operates and how can I use that against myself or against other people? There was a guy called Bruce Schneller, and he tells a story about in America years and years ago. You used to be able to buy an ant farm in the shop, and what you got in the box was the little tank, and you got some soil, and once you'd taken that home and you got it all set up, when you were ready, you filled in a little postcard with your name and address, you sent it off, and the company would then send the ants to you through the post. And his mate says, that's amazing that you can get ants sent to you through the mail. And Bruce said, what's really amazing is the fact that I can post ants to anybody in the whole world and nobody will know where they came from. Because all he was going to do was put a different address on that postcard and get ants sent to different people. And that's what a hacker does, tries to think of a different way of doing things. And it is a little bit of a strategy game as well. If I do one thing, you're also going to try and defend your network doing something else. So what's my next move? It's trying to think and plan. If I do this, what are you going to do to protect yourself, and how can I circumvent that? What can I do to get around about that? What do you see here? A lot of people say they see an Amazon Alexa, but what does a hacker see? A hacker sees another route into your network. They see something that they might be able to abuse. I know quite a few people who've got Amazon Alexas, and whenever I go in their house, the first thing I always say is, Amazon, can you order me some pet food? Or maybe, Amazon, can you set an alarm for 5:30 AM with monster sounds, just to see what happens. But where do these people start? When they're actually looking to get into somebody's network, what is it they do? How do they actually get started? Well, a lot of the time opportunity knocks. They're just scanning the internet, they're trying to find devices on that internet that are vulnerable, that they've got open ports, they're trying to find something that's sitting out there exposed that they can then access or do something with. Using particular tools, you can scan the whole network in something like 45 minutes if you've got the right tools. Things like ZenMap and ScanRAN will scan the whole internet. They will show you what devices are on there, and they'll also let you know if they're vulnerable to any sort of exploits or whether they've got any ports open that shouldn't be open. This is a little screenshot from a honeypot that I've set up. So it's a server that's deliberately set up vulnerable in the hope that it'll attract hackers so we can see what it is that they're up to. And you can see the attacks are coming from all over the world, and they're coming on a constant basis as well. This honeypot gets hit around about every 9 seconds with somebody trying to access it. A lot of the time what they're trying to do is they're trying to just connect to my server and then use that as a proxy to connect somewhere else, maybe to send some spam email or just to try and make it look disguise where their attack is actually coming from. And it can be as easy as 1, 2, 3. This is a website called Shodan, which is a little like a search engine, and it searches for devices that are connected to the internet, and it will show you the types of things that are running on those devices. So this particular screenshot here, somebody has searched for a vulnerability that was discovered way back in 2014, so what's that, 5 years ago, the Heartbleed vulnerability. Somebody searched for that, and they can see 134,995 devices that still have that vulnerability today and are exposed to the internet. So all they need to do is find that exploit, connect to one of those machines, and they can exploit that there and then. We need to get the basics right. We need to make sure we're doing the simple things first and make sure we're doing them properly. This is another Shodan search. It's searching for an open port called port 21, and it's looking specifically for ones that have no password set on them. 3,151 different devices out there that have no password on them that anybody can connect to. You don't even need to have any hacking skills. All you need to do is connect to that device. Looking again at my honeypot, these are some of the most popular passwords that the attackers are trying. 123456, password 123, and the only reason they're trying them is because we still use these passwords. We're using these passwords on our critical systems. We need to make sure that all these default passwords and all these simple passwords are getting changed. But Shodan sometimes isn't always just for the simple things. You can find anything on Shodan. What we have here is some petrol tanks over in Canada that are connected to the internet. Imagine the trouble and the carnage that it could cause if we exploited one of those in a malicious way. But what about if opportunity doesn't knock? What is it if I'm trying to specifically target your organisation? You look like you've got everything closed down. How do we get around that? What do the hackers do in that instance? A lot of companies do things like pen tests, so they employ an organisation to come in and test their network to see where the vulnerabilities are, get recommendations on how they can close it down. But again, a lot of the time with these pen tests, it's not real life, yeah? You're asking me to pen test my environment, but you're only allowed to go through the firewall, you're not allowed to phish any of my staff, you're only allowed to target specific IP addresses, and you've got 30 minutes to break in, and you've got to do it with one hand tied behind your back, standing on a donkey. And we then think that we're secure. And we have a look at things like compliance. Compliance does not make security. Yeah, we need to do things like pen tests for compliance for PCI DSS. We've got GDPR compliance. We've got ISO 27001. We've got all these different ones. But compliance and security are not the same thing. Sometimes compliance can mask weaknesses and it can mask bad security practices. We need to make sure that security is within our culture. Yeah. Because what the bad guys are going to do is the bad guys are going to exploit trust. And a lot of the time they can exploit human trust. People share way too much information about themselves, whether that's on social media or whether that's an organisation sharing too much information about themselves in a job advert or on a tender. Just think about the last job advert you put out for somebody in your IT department. Did it say we need experience in Java, we need experience in HTML, we need experience with VMware, we need experience with Windows 10? That's all information that you're giving out to the attacker for free, for nothing, and all they need to do is a simple Google search on your organisation to find it. Then they can start drilling down into the individuals that work there and find out information about them and how can we exploit those particular people. Yeah? We need to be careful when it comes to things like phishing emails, and I know we talk about them all the time, but we need to trust, but we need to verify these things as well, okay? And we break the rules. Yeah, compliance is there and it's got rules, you must do this, you must do that, you must do the next thing, but we break the rules all the time. Think about somebody that might be in the server room, it's got a lock on it, they're nipping out to the toilet, they're not going to be 5 minutes, so they wedge the door open, and then they forget that they were in there, and they forget that they've left the door open. That's the server room door wide open for anybody to walk into. It's becoming more and more common now for attackers not to just target you or your company, but to target your supply chain. They reckon, you've heard of the Kevin Bacon 7 steps, somebody knows them, you know, there's 7 degrees of separation from them. They reckon there's about 2 degrees separation between organisations and their IT systems. Yeah. So IT systems that you're using, somebody 2 steps away from you is probably using exactly the same stuff. Now, if I can exploit that supply chain, not only am I exploiting just you, but I'm exploiting all the other businesses and all the other organisations that use that particular piece of software or that particular piece of hardware. If I can compromise an update in a piece of software, then that update will get pushed out to thousands and thousands of users, and they can exploit all of them at the same time without having to break into your system. Yeah. If I have a think about the NotPetya outbreak a couple of years ago, so this was a piece of accounting software that's used widely in Ukraine. It's basically the Ukrainian version of Sage. And all businesses in Ukraine use this accounting package. Now, some attackers, possibly from a nearby country to Ukraine, who are not getting on very well with Ukraine, not naming any names, they managed to insert some malicious code into an update for this accounting package, which then got pushed out to thousands of businesses throughout the whole of the Ukraine. It looked like it was ransomware, and it spread rapidly throughout the whole world. Included in the people that were caught up in it were Maersk, the world's biggest shipping company. They reckon it cost them upwards of $350 million to get their systems back up and running, repair all their servers and make sure everything was working the way that it should be doing. FedEx were caught up in it. They reckon they've still got packages in the warehouse that they don't know who they're for or where they've come from, all as a result of this NotPetya attack. Now, these companies weren't specifically targeted. Now, what was targeted was that particular piece of software. It just happens all these businesses used, and it spread throughout the world really, really quickly. And that's what the attackers are looking for. Can we exploit lots of people at once by doing one simple thing? Think about WordPress. Something like a third of the world's websites use the WordPress platform. If I can infect a plugin or an update for WordPress, if I can get some JavaScript onto a WordPress theme, then it's not just your website that's going to be affected, it's literally going to be millions of different websites that are affected. We use lots of different plugins and updates and tools for WordPress to make our websites look unique. Lots of other people use them as well, but how much do you trust that code? Do you know what it's supposed to do, and do you know how it actually works? And these are the things that we need to start thinking about. We need to think about how we protect ourselves. We need to educate our employees. We need to tell our employees what the risks are and show them how they can help protect us and how they can help protect our business. We need to think about things like Cyber Essentials, which is a great foundation and a great starting block for making sure that we're thinking about cyber security and we've got the basics in place. Yeah? There is no solution for cyber security. There's no one thing that anybody can do. It's all about doing it in layers. It's about doing lots and lots of different things to make sure that we're as secure as we possibly can. We need to think about the threats that we face. Who is it that's targeting us? What sorts of information do they want? Do you know what your critical information is? Do you know what your critical systems are? Have you identified them and made sure that you've protected them as much as you possibly can? And we need to manage the risk. There are going to be things that we can't do, that we would like to do, but we need to know what those things are, and we need to make sure we're aware of that risk and we're managing it in an appropriate way. Okay? We need to prepare for failure. We need to think about what happens when it does go wrong. Do we have an incident response plan in place? Have we tested that incident response plan? Do we know that it's fit for purpose and is actually going to help us get back up and running as quickly as possible? And we need to remember that exceptions create the risk for the entire organisation. There's always going to be somebody that says, oh, but I don't want to use two-factor authentication because it takes me too long and I'm too busy for that. It's an extra 5 seconds, I've not got time for that. They're the people that create the biggest risk for us. The people that want to have admin rights on their computers, they are the ones that will be the major risk. So we need to make sure that when we set our rules and policies that everybody understands why they're there, what they're for and how they protect us, and that there should be no exceptions to these cases. Does anybody have any questions? Thanks very much.